Hello there and welcome to today's vlog. Unfortunately, it all seems to have ground to a rather unceremonious halt. Here we are, it's Friday morning and I haven't ridden my bike for over a week now. The last ride I did was last Thursday when I went out and I actually did one of the longest rides that I've done recently. It was 50 kilometers and I started off riding up Diddybones Lane and then I went down Forest Side, through Westbourne, out to Havant, up Portsdown and then round the back of Southwark. And I really enjoyed that ride and I was kind of looking forward to getting up bright and early on Monday morning and repeating the experience, but yeah, try as I might, I just could not get myself on a bike. I found myself sitting around on the sofa doing other more important things like constantly checking my email and the weather reports, hoping for a freak hurricane so that I didn't have to get on the bike and I had a legitimate excuse not to. Now, I can't really explain what's going on here and my sudden reluctance to go out and ride the bike, but it may have something to do with the weather. On Monday, it was beautifully bright and sunny, but it was very cold at 5 degrees. And the more I thought about how cold it was and how much I would have to wrap up in layers of cycling kit, the less inclined I was to actually go out and ride the bike. And the less inclined I was, the worse I felt, and it all just became one vicious circle. And with regards to the weather, I'm not sure what's happening with me at the moment. Once upon a time, I was literally the last person to get cold. But last year particularly, I noticed that once the temperature dropped below about 6 degrees Celsius, it didn't seem to matter how many layers of cycle clothing I had on or how hard I was cycling, I just could not get warm. Maybe I'm just getting old. Another potential reason for the lack of enthusiasm at the moment is because of the trip that I've just had to cancel. On Wednesday, I was due to fly down to the south of France and go and stay with my friends Chris and Vicky at the Pyrenees.cc, but unfortunately, on Monday, a severe weather warning was issued for the area, which would have made cycling there rather dangerous, so the trip's now been postponed until April. Now, as much as I was looking forward to going down there and taking on things like the Col de Costouge and riding in the Pyrenees generally, I have to admit that I was also a little bit relieved that I didn't have to put myself out there and ride in the cold, even though it's much warmer there than it is here. Another reason may just be the classic putting myself under undue pressure. Because I went out last Thursday and rode 50 kilometers, I kind of felt an obligation to ride at least 50 kilometers for my next ride, and perhaps I wasn't quite prepared to do that. I've also promised myself that I'm going to try and get through this winter without using the turbo trainer, and of course that does mean riding out in the elements, in the cold, in the wet, in the damp and all that sort of stuff. And again, that's kind of put me under a little undue pressure. But it's not just the cycling that's taken a bit of a back seat. Yesterday, I forced myself to get out of the house and go for a bit of a walk. So I went down to one of my favourite places, which is Langstone Harbour. Again, the weather was absolutely fantastic, clear blue skies, very sunny, but very cold. I have to admit that I did enjoy the walk. Now, this was literally the first time I'd stuck my nose out of the door since Monday. So yeah, 4 days indoors, and that's just not going to be good for your head. Like most people, I think I have one of these winter lazy malaise things going on. But then at the same time, unlike most people, I don't have a full-time job that's going to get me out of the house or somewhere that I need to be at a particular time on a particular day. Everything I do is kind of self-motivated, and when you've got no pull to pull you through, finding the motivation to do anything at all is pretty difficult. And it's far easier to lay on the sofa, eat biscuits, drink tea and watch your DVD box set of the new Avengers from 1977. In my experience, beating yourself up for how lazy you think you've been can actually be very counterproductive. Instead, it's going to be far more beneficial to just acknowledge it for what it is and say to yourself, right, I'm going to take some time off. And if that means no cycling or not working quite as hard, then so be it. But at the same time, you do also have to say to yourself after a few days, right, I've had my time off now, I'm going to get back on it. If you don't, the longer you leave it, the worse it's going to be. You also have to say to yourself that it's fine to skip a ride from time to time because the weather's bad, or it's okay to only go out and do 20 kilometers instead of the planned 50, or even do a turbo training session now and then. Life in general can be pretty tough, particularly at the moment. And believe you me, there's a whole load of people already out there waiting to bring you down. So do yourself a favour and don't be the one to bring yourself down. If you'd like to see some more videos about how to get the most out of your cycling, click on the one coming up in the end screen. But in the meantime, thank you for watching and I'll see you on the next one.